Thanks for joining us again. I'm Brittany from Hawaii Wedding Studio. Today, we are talking about why you need to ditch the DIY stress for your Oahu elopement and leave the memory-making to the professionals. We'll dive into why relying on your well-meaning iPad uncle could ruin your wedding photos, how to perfectly handle Hawaii's unpredictable liquid sunshine, and why an expert vendor team is your ultimate insurance policy for a flawless, perfectly curated day. All right, let's get engaged.
Ruling back, trying to talk into facts. Stay a while, press and play. You're smart, great, every day.
Welcome back to the Hawaii Wedding Studio podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Riley. It is so good to be hanging out with you all again today.
We are just, we're really basking in that aloha spirit today, aren't we? I mean, we are highly optimistic about love. We are massive fans of matrimony, but
we are also deeply sarcastic about the absolute chaos that is planning a wedding.
Oh, completely. Let's be real. It is a logistical nightmare masquerading as a party.
The stress is entirely real. I mean, it's really the one time in your life where you're suddenly expected to be a project manager, a diplomat, a fashion icon, and a financial planner, all at the exact same time.
While presumably being in love with the person next to you.
Hopefully. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, right?
Right. And you know that really specific feeling when you're on a roller coaster, right at the top of the first big hill?
Oh, I hate that feeling.
You've done all the waiting in line, you're strapped in, and there is that split-second moment of suspension before gravity just completely takes over.
That whole point of no return feeling. My stomach actually just dropped a little bit thinking about it.
Exactly. And in the world of destination weddings, that is the 30 days out mark.
It really is.
You've done all the big planning, the venue is booked, the flights are bought, but now you're staring down the barrel of the actual physical event.
Mm-hmm.
And based on the stack of sources we are looking at for today's deep dive, this is usually exactly where the panic sets in.
It's the panic zone. Totally. But our mission with this deep dive today is to really flip that script for you.
We are going to turn panic mode into party mode.
Exactly, because today we are looking at this great combination of materials. We've got a 30 days out checklist specifically for Hawaii weddings. We have some really technical advice on tropical beauty and photography. And we're also doing a deep analysis of reviews for the Hawaii wedding minister team.
It's a goldmine of information. We need to talk about logistics, yes, but we also need to talk about physics.
Physics. I mean, I thought this was a romance and wedding show.
Oh, it is. But we are absolutely going to talk about the thermodynamics of your face in high humidity.
Okay, I'm so here for that.
We're also getting into the optical science of why your uncle's iPad is actively ruining your wedding photos and the literal logistical speed required to get legally hitched in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
I love it when we get nerdy on this show. Let's dive right in.
So looking at this blog post regarding the 30-day checklist, there is a very fundamental shift in psychology that happens at this exact point.
Right.
For the last year or however long, you've been in vision mode.
Yep.
You know, what does it look like? What is the general vibe?
Yeah, but at 30 days out, the source emphasizes that vision mode is actually dangerous.
Super dangerous.
You have to switch over to execution mode because this is exactly where the decision fatigue really hits you hard. And the first thing on this list to mitigate that fatigue is locking in the coordinator.
The person who actually runs the show, so you don't have to literally carry a clipboard down the aisle?
Precisely. If you haven't hired one, the advice here is clear. Do it immediately. Get the deposit down. But here's the really nuanced takeaway that caught my eye from the source, and I think this is going to save you so many headaches.
What's that?
The source explicitly says, do not stress about the flower specifics yet.
See, that seems totally counterintuitive to me. I feel like 30 days out is exactly when I'd be like losing sleep over whether the hibiscus strictly matches tablecloths. I'd be up at 3 a.m. looking at Pantone color swatches.
And that is exactly the trap. The expert advice here is to just outline the main elements and the budget. You just need to get the skeleton in place. You can honestly figure out the exact petal count later.
Right.
But you need the actual human being who is going to run the show locked in right now. Because if you're obsessing over napkins while you still don't have a coordinator, you're basically focusing on the interior decoration of a house that doesn't even have a foundation yet.
Secure the human, then worry about the hibiscus. I like that. That makes perfect sense. Now, speaking of humans effectively running the show, we really have to talk about the permission slip, the marriage license.
Oh, wow. This is a major, major pitfall. I cannot stress this part enough for anyone listening. We saw a review in our sources from a groom named Thomas Bragg.
Oh, poor Thomas. That was a rough read.
Yeah, he mentioned that their whole wedding went off without a hitch except for the actual getting hitched part because they got totally lost trying to get the license.
That is a literal nightmare. It's like failing the final exam just because you couldn't find the classroom building.
It happens way more often than you'd think. The blog points out a really crucial detail here. You can apply for the license online, which is great. It saves a bunch of time.
Love a digital form.
But, and this is a massive, but you must physically pick up the license in person when you actually arrive in Hawaii.
Wait, so you can't just download Legal Love from the cloud?
Not yet. You have to physically go to the Department of Health or an agent. And if you don't actively factor that into your travel itinerary, you end up exactly like Thomas. Running late, sweating through your nice shirt, and adding this massive, unnecessary layer of cortisol to what should be a really relaxing time.
But there is a hack for this, right? Because we love a good efficiency hack on this show.
There absolutely is. The Hawaii Wedding Studio has these in-house agents. It's basically a total don't worry about it service.
I deeply appreciate those kinds of services.
Me too. We saw another review from Gian Velasco who specifically mentioned that Reverend James Chun's wife actually served as their marriage agent. They just did everything in one super convenient location.
That is the exact level of efficiency I aspire to in my life. Just, hi. Nice to meet you. Here is my wife. Here is your license. Let's go get married.
It just keeps the whole vibe so chill, and that's the ultimate goal here. It completely consolidates all the logistics so you aren't stuck navigating downtown Honolulu traffic when you should be sitting on the beach with a drink.
Okay, so we've got the paperwork sorted out. Now we really need to talk about the physical reality of getting married on a tropical island. Because there is a villain in our story today.
Is it an ex-boyfriend showing up to object?
No, even worse. It is tropical thermodynamics.
Oh, yes. Physics. The natural enemy of hair and makeup everywhere.
Exactly. We looked at this genuinely fascinating interview with Moana Zambrana from Intricate Beauty, and she talks a lot about this concept of ministry through artistry. But on a really practical level, she's talking about how to physically stop your face from melting right off your skull.
It is a very real problem. She actually calls it the greenhouse effect.
Can you unpack that a bit?
Yeah.
What exactly is a greenhouse effect on a bride's face?
Okay, so imagine you're used to wearing a pretty heavy silicone-based foundation.
Sure, it's stuff that looks great in a studio or in cool weather.
Right. But now you are in Oahu and you're dealing with 85% humidity. You put that heavy silicone layer on, your skin naturally heats up, and it tries to sweat to cool you down because your skin is an organ. It has to thermoregulate.
Right. It's just trying to keep you alive.
Exactly. But that silicone layer acts as an occlusive barrier. It literally traps the heat and the sweat underneath the makeup.
So you were essentially just cooking your own face.
Yes, you are boiling your pores, and suddenly you are a walking slip-and slide. The makeup just slides right off.
That is such a visceral image. A walking slip-and slide is definitely not on my wedding Pinterest board.
It's a total disaster. So Moana suggests what she calls the Oahu glow instead.
Which sounds lovely and marketable, but what is it actually doing differently?
It's all about strategic setting. You don't just mask the entire face. You sculpt with light. You want the high points, like your cheekbones, to glow to really catch that bright island sun, but you absolutely keep the T-zone perfectly matte.
So you look intentionally dewy, not accidentally sweaty.
Exactly. It's working with the environment rather than trying to fight against it. And honestly, her absolute best piece of advice had nothing to do with cosmetic products at all.
Oh, this was the traveler's tip, right? I remember this.
Yes. She said the #1 beauty product you can possibly have is rest.
So boring. I want a miracle cream that costs $80.
I know, but listen to the logic. She says slowing down for 2 or 3 days before the wedding is better than any product you can buy anywhere. Hydrate, sleep. If you get right off a 9-hour plane ride and immediately try to hike Diamond Head and then drink 10 Mai Tais, your skin is going to completely revolt against you.
That is extremely fair. You have to acclimate. And then, of course, there's the hair situation.
Hair is hygroscopic.
Bless you.
Huh. It's a real term. It means that hair physically absorbs water right out of the air. And in Hawaii, the air is basically made of water.
Right.
So if you have fine hair, all that water weight just makes it go completely limp. But if you have texture or curls, the water swells the hair cuticle and creates massive frizz.
So you can't just hairspray it into rigid submission.
You can try, but the wind and humidity will literally always win that fight. The expert advice here is to fully embrace the movement. Work with the wind. Don't try to helmet hair your way through an Oahu beach wedding. Think like a Beyoncé music video with the fan blowing, rather than a rigid prom updo from 2004.
Okay, so we're glowing, we are thoroughly hydrated, our hair is moving beautifully with the wind. Now we actually need to capture this moment. And this brings us to another villain in our story, the iPad uncle.
Oh, we all know the iPad uncle.
Oh.
Or Cousin Steve. Everyone has one.
Describe him for the listeners who might be currently in denial that they have one on their guest list.
He's the well-meaning guest who steps right out into the aisle during the first kiss, holding up a giant iPad case like a literal medieval shield with his thumb covering half the lens, and he's probably shooting vertical video of a horizontal event.
And entirely blocking the very expensive professional photographer you hired.
Always. But here's why this is actually so risky in Hawaii specifically. It all goes right back to the environment, the liquid sunshine.
Which is just a very polite local way of saying random sudden rain showers.
Right. And really harsh, bright sun. Smartphones, even the really, really good modern ones, heavily struggle with dynamic range.
Could you break that down for us? Dynamic range.
Sure. Dynamic range is essentially the camera sensor's ability to see the incredibly bright blue sky and the dark details of a suit or the bright white of a dress all at the exact same time.
So it's about balancing extremes.
Exactly. And if you rely on Uncle Bob's iPad, the physical sensor inside that device is just way too small. So you're either going to be a completely black shadow silhouette or the sky behind you is going to be blown out to pure blinding white.
So hiring a professional photographer isn't just about vanity or getting likes on Instagram. It's actually about, what did the source call it? Insurance.
It's a literal insurance policy for your own memories. The blog post on photography actually refers to these photos as cognitive cues.
Whoa, getting heavily psychological on a wedding show.
But it's so true. High-quality photos literally help your brain time travel back to the specific emotion of that moment later in life. If the photo you have is blurry or poorly lit, the memory physically starts to fade in your mind. If it's crisp and captures the light and the joy perfectly, it instantly triggers the exact feeling you had.
Plus, there is the whole ghost guest factor to consider.
Right. Hawaii is literally in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's an expensive, long trip. Not everyone can come. Grandma might simply not be able to make that flight.
Yeah, that's a reality for a lot of destination weddings.
These professional photos are the absolute only way you get to share that magical moment with the people who couldn't be there. You really owe it to them to have a clear, beautiful shot of your face, not just Uncle Bob's blurry thumb.
And this is exactly where Reverend James Chun comes into the picture again. We kept seeing his name pop up repeatedly in these reviews regarding photography, which is interesting for an efficient.
Yes, because he actually provides a roster of highly vetted professional photographers. We saw names like Star, Hiko, and Rina Osedo in the reviews.
I really loved the review we read from Kevin DeMante.
Me too.
Yeah.
Kevin was super nervous. He's standing on a public beach. There are crowds everywhere, tourists in Speedos casually walking by in the background. He's thinking, this is going to be incredibly awkward.
It's hard to be romantic with a guy applying sunscreen 10 feet away.
Exactly. But Kevin said his photographer, Hiko, literally made it feel like they were the absolute only two people on the entire island.
See, that right there is a magic trick. That is a skill worth paying for.
It really is. It's essentially advanced crowd control and psychology beautifully wrapped into photography.
So let's pivot to the man himself. We have mentioned him a few times, but we really need to focus on the efficient Reverend James Chun. Because if you are 30 days out and you are actively panicking, he genuinely seems to be the universal antidote.
He is the calm center of the storm. We combed through so many of these reviews, and the word calm just comes up constantly. Jasmine Rose called him a sweet soul in her review.
Which is exactly what you want standing up there with you. You really don't want a frantic, high-energy efficient visibly checking his watch while you're saying your vows.
Definitely not. But here is where it gets really, really interesting for all the procrastinators out there listening to this.
My people.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
The speed factor. We found a review from a bride named Tiana Burdick. Listen to this timeline. She submitted an inquiry, and James replied that exact same night, she thinks possibly within the hour.
Within the hour. In the wedding industry, where vendors routinely take 2 weeks to reply to a basic email.
Yes. And get this, they were fully legally married 48 hours later.
2 days, that's it.
2 days. And then there's an even crazier one from Kelsey Dodonato. She reached out and they were married within 24 hours just because they realized they wanted to do it on the exact anniversary of the day they first met.
That level of efficiency almost borders on supernatural.
It just speaks volumes to his responsiveness. When you're planning a destination wedding, the sheer silence from vendors is terrifying. You're thousands of miles away hoping someone read your email. Knowing there's a professional on the other end who replies almost instantly, that removes an unimaginable amount of anxiety.
And he's not just doing standard beach weddings, right? Because I definitely saw a mention of a treehouse office in those reviews.
Yes. Angela Large specifically reviewed the treehouse office located in Honolulu. She said it was incredibly sweet and lovely. So if you don't want to deal with the sand, or if you're suddenly really worried about that liquid sunshine ruining your hair, you have really cool indoor options.
What about the actual ceremony itself? Because I feel like that's the one part people completely forget about amidst all the crazy party planning and logistics, the actual words being spoken.
Reverend Chun covers that seamlessly too. Alan Butak mentioned in his review that they didn't even write their own vows.
Which totally happens. Writer's block is very real. Or you just know you're going to get too choked up to read something you wrote.
Exactly. James just stepped in and provided incredibly fitting vows for them. And then Alejandro left this truly beautiful review about how James officiated for her husband, whose first language wasn't even English. She said he still made the entire ceremony incredibly emotional, engaging, and totally accessible for him.
That is true inclusivity. That is a guy knowing his audience and reading the room perfectly.
It really highlights the difference between someone who just stands up and reads a generic script and someone who actually officiates and honors a union.
So let's recap where we are. We've got the license efficiently secured. We look like glowing, hydrated island gods. We have the dynamic range photos to prove it to grandma. And we were legally married by the absolute fastest email responder in the Pacific. Now what?
The wedding is officially over. Do we just pack up and go home?
Absolutely not. The 30-day checklist explicitly tells you stay for the honeymoon.
Which just makes perfect logistical sense. You're already physically sitting in paradise. Why leave? But you do have a strategic choice to make here. Are you doing the classic romantic candlelit dinners in Honolulu, just the two of you? Or if you brought the whole family out with you?
The family moon, a very real phenomenon.
Exactly. Group exploration. The source heavily suggests proactively scheduling activities suitable for groups if the family is lingering. But, and I think this is the most vital piece of post-wedding advice, you must schedule a day of pure pampering right before the flight home.
Oh, absolutely. You simply cannot get on a 9-hour long-haul flight while deeply hungover, sunburned, or stressed from family dynamics.
No, you need that dedicated transition day to consciously close the wedding chapter of your life and mentally start the marriage chapter.
I want to highlight one last review that really passed the ultimate vibe check for me.
Oh, yeah.
Pantsu Tilbach.
Oh, yes. I remember that one. She called the whole ceremony genuinely magical.
Magical. And then Forrest Jones, who openly admitted in his review that they were feeling pretty short-fused and stressed, which I relate to on a very deep level, he said the entire team just stepped in and helped them without a single question.
That is the true hospitality aspect of doing this in Hawaii. It's not just a financial transaction. It is the spirit of aloha. The team literally absorbs your frantic stress, and they hand you back peace.
So bringing it all together, what does this actually mean for you, our listener, who is maybe staring at a calendar right now, seeing that 30 days mark circling closer and starting to physically sweat?
It means you just need to pivot your mindset. Stop trying to control the massive ocean and just start learning how to surf the waves.
I really, really like that analogy.
30 days out is for finalizing that coordinator so you aren't forced to be the boss on your own wedding day. It's for drinking an absurd amount of water so you get that Oahu glow naturally instead of relying on heavy silicone.
It's for gently but firmly firing Uncle Bob as your official photographer. Sorry, Steve. Put the iPad down and just enjoy the free drinks.
And it's for trusting a total pro like Reverend James Chun to handle all the weird permits, the legal witnesses, the backup rain plans, basically all the tiny things you don't even know you don't know yet.
Because at the absolute end of the day, when you look back, you want to remember the specific look in your partner's eyes, not the lingering stress of waiting in a government line for a piece of paper.
Precisely. Keep the main thing the main thing.
Well, this has been an absolute blast to dig into. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over. We've talked so much about the 30 days before, the thermodynamics of the day itself, and the immediate honeymoon transition. But what happens on day 31 after the wedding?
Back to reality.
Right. When you are back home, commuting to work on a rainy Tuesday. The real secret isn't just surviving the wedding with the aloha spirit, it's figuring out how to pack that exact same mindset. The grace, the letting go of control, the trusting your partner, and applying it to your actual 50-year marriage.
Oh, I love that. Taking the Oahu glow into your everyday life.
Exactly. If you want more Oahu wedding hacks, deep dives, and to generally keep your sanity levels manageable through this wild process, make sure you subscribe to the Hawaii Wedding Studio podcast. We have so many more deep dives coming your way.
And just remember, the goal here isn't a flawless theatrical production. It's a perfect union between two people.
Stay salty, stay hitched, and enjoy the aloha spirit. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.
That wraps up today's episode about planning your effortless Oahu elopement. Remember, your wedding day should be about your connection, not your stress levels. By trusting vetted professionals to handle everything from filing your marriage license to capturing that perfect Oahu glow, you are truly investing in your peace of mind. Ready to trade the pressure of a performance for true presence? Head over to hawaiiweddingminister.com to start your bespoke planning experience with Reverend James Chun. Until next time, stay salty, stay hitched, and we'll see you on the sands of Oahu.